experience because this is the first startup environment that I'm working in. But what really attracted me to Swiggy and what continues to really excite me to work at Swiggy are the two foundational values. One is the fact that our founders and our leadership team is fairly consumer centric. The entire business came out of solving a real consumer problem versus it being first a business and then trying to be consumer centric. So that's really the first. And I think secondly, very early on, I think Swiggy understood the need to create a brand persona which is not just based on functional business strengths, was equally based on what equity and what emotional ties to be built for the consumer. I think these two values is what attracted me to Swiggy, and continues to be something that excites me to be part of the Swiggy team. So my role is fairly linked to the first two values that I talked about, consumer centricity and creating brand value for Swiggy, which is beyond just functional strength. So almost building like a competitive advantage, which is based on consumer understanding. And therefore, I think of the first primary role of Insights team as firstly just being a mirror to show the organization where we're going right and where we're going wrong, largely by understanding consumer needs and being able to tie them back to business levers and business functional dependencies. Secondly, I think the role is really about also being able to give like a long-term growth horizon and a plan to the consumer, to the company, again based on a win-win for the consumer and the company. So those were, I would say, would be like two big priorities for the function. Third, related, very big part of the function is being able to paint a picture of the consumer for the larger employee base and helping them also participate in this journey in that meaningful way, and therefore help in building consumer centricity as a value at Swiggy. So the Insights team at Swiggy is almost like a internal consumer consulting team. It's a small tight team which leverages external partners to bring out the problems to solve for a very varied and almost the entire functional landscape of Swiggy. And the kind of talent we look at, is I think the one quality more than qualifications and more than actual experience I look for is really this what I call whole brain thinking. It largely means your ability to sift through hard quantitative data as well as your ability to listen in and have a ear for the soft qualitative data, which is data like consumer needs and feelings, and therefore not necessarily as clearly percentage or quantified, and therefore being able to make sense of the two together to inform strategy and inform the company. I just can't imagine that world because I'm too much of a foodie and experimental seeker to be able to think of any one dish I could live with for the rest of my life. So it'll almost be like punishment for me. I spend a lot of my personal time actually in what I call spiritualism. It's a philosophy based on human revolution, which largely talks about how each of us can be the seed of change and can actually create a lot of positive change in society just by being happier people who create value at work and at the individual homes. So I think that's something that most people might not know about me.